You want something? Then start acting like you already have it. That's right. I'm talking about living your life as if you've already achieved your goals. This isn't some feel-good bullshit. This is about rewiring your brain, changing your habits, and becoming the person you need to be to get what you want. Listen up. Most people walk around waiting for life to hand them what they desire. They're dreaming, wishing, hoping. But that's not how it works. You got to grab life by the throat and make it give you what you want. And it starts with your mindset. When you act as if you already have what you want, you're telling your brain, this is who I am now. Your brain doesn't know the difference between reality and what you're telling it. So when you start behaving like the successful person you want to be, your brain starts to believe it. And when your brain believes it, it starts looking for ways to make it real. But here's the thing. This isn't about faking it. This is about becoming it. You can't just pretend. You got to put in the work. You got to make the changes. You got to be willing to suffer. Let's say you want to be a millionaire. What millionaires do? They wake up early. They work hard. They invest. They network. They educate themselves. So start doing those things now. Don't wait until you have the money. Start acting like you have it already. You want to be fit? Then start acting like a fit person now. Wake up at 5 a.m. and hit the gym. Eat like an athlete. Train like a warrior. Don't wait until you see the results to start acting like you're fit. Act like it now, and the results will follow. This isn't easy. Your mind is going to fight you every step of the way. It's going to tell you this isn't real. You're lying to yourself. But you got to push through that. You got to silence that voice. You got to be willing to be uncomfortable. Remember, comfort is the enemy. Comfort is what keeps you stuck. Comfort is what makes you settle for less than you're capable of. So get uncomfortable, push yourself beyond what you think you can handle. When you start acting as if you already have what you want, you're going to face resistance. People are going to look at you funny. They're going to question you. They're going to try to pull you back down to their level. But you can't let them. You got to keep pushing forward. This is about more than just positive thinking. This is about positive action. It's about aligning your behavior with your goals. It's about becoming the person who deserves what you want. Think about it. If you want to be a CEO, start making decisions like a CEO. If you want to be a world-class athlete, start training like one. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, start thinking like one. Don't wait for the title. Don't wait for the recognition. Start now. But here's the catch. You got to be ready for the pain. You got to be ready for the struggle, because when you start acting like you already have what you want, you're going to face challenges. You're going to face doubt. You're going to face failure. But that's where the growth happens. That's where you become who you need to be. In those moments of pain, in those moments of doubt, that's where you prove to yourself that you're worthy of what you want. You see, most people quit when it gets hard. They give up when they face obstacles. But not you. You're different. You're going to push through. You're going to keep going when everyone else has stopped. That's what sets you apart. When you act as if you already have what you want, you're not just changing your behavior. You're changing your identity. You're becoming a new person. And that new person is capable of achieving things that you couldn't even imagine. But here's the thing. You got to be consistent. You can't just do this for a day or a week. You got to do it every single day. You got to make it a habit. You got to make it who you are. Wake up every morning and ask yourself, what would I do today if I already had what I want? Then go out and do those things. Don't let your current circumstances dictate your actions. Let your goals dictate your actions. This isn't about lying to yourself. This isn't about ignoring reality. This is about creating new reality. This is about bridging the gap between where you are and where you want to be. You see, your mind is powerful. It's capable of incredible things. But you got to learn how to use it. You got to learn how to program it. And that's what acting as if you already have what you want does. It programs your mind for success. But remember, this isn't magic. This isn't some secret formula that's going to make all your dreams come true overnight. This is hard work. This is discipline. This is dedication. You got to be willing to put in the hours. You got to be willing to make sacrifices. You got to be willing to do things that other people aren't willing to do. Because that's what it takes to get what you want. When you start acting as if you already have what you want, You're going to feel like a fraud at first. You're going to feel like you're lying to yourself, but you got to push through that feeling. You got to keep going, because here's the truth. You're not lying to yourself. You're telling yourself the truth about who you can become. You're showing yourself what's possible. You're creating a new reality for yourself. But it's not enough to just act the part. You got to believe it. You got to feel it in your bones. You got to make it a part of who you are. And that takes time. That takes repetition. That takes persistence. You got to wake up every day and remind yourself of who you're becoming. You got to look in the mirror and see the person you want to be. You got to talk to yourself like you're already that person. This isn't about arrogance. This isn't about ego. This is about confidence. This is about belief. This is about knowing that you're capable of achieving great things. When you act as if you already have what you want, you start to attract opportunities. You start to see things you didn't see before. You start to take actions you wouldn't have taken before. And that's where the magic happens. But you got to be ready for it. You got to be prepared. You got to be willing to seize those opportunities when they come, because they will come. When you start acting like the person who has what you want, the universe starts to respond. But here's the thing. You can't just sit back and wait for those opportunities to come to you. You got to go out and create them. You got to make things happen. You got to be proactive. When you act as if you already have what you want, you start to see the world differently. You start to see possibilities where others see obstacles. You start to see solutions where others see problems. And that's what sets you apart. But you got to be careful. You got to stay humble. You got to remember that you're still on the journey. You haven't arrived yet. You're still becoming. And that's okay. That's where the growth happens. You see, when you act as if you already have what you want, you're not just changing your external circumstances. You're changing your internal world. You're changing how you think, how you feel, how you perceive yourself in the world around you. And that's where the real power lies. Because when you change your internal world, your external world has no choice but to follow suit. It's like a law of nature. What's inside must manifest outside. But here's the catch. You got to be patient. You got to trust the process. You got to have faith in yourself and in your ability to achieve what you want. Because it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take time. And during that time, you're going to face setbacks. You're going to face failures. You're going to face moments when you want to give up. But that's when you got to dig deep. That's when you got to remind yourself why you started this journey in the first place. Remember, acting as if you already have what you want isn't about pretending. It's about becoming. It's about growth. It's about transformation. It's about turning yourself into the person who naturally attracts what you desire. But you got to be willing to let go of who you are to become who you want to be. You got to be willing to shed your old identity. You got to be willing to step into a new version of yourself. And that can be scary. That can be uncomfortable. But that's where the magic happens. When you act as if you already have what you want, you're reprogramming your subconscious mind. You're changing your default settings. You're rewiring your brain. And that's powerful stuff. But it takes repetition. It takes consistency. It takes dedication. You got to do it every single day. You got to make it a habit. You got to make it a part of who you are. And here's the thing. It's not just about the big things. It's about the small things too. It's about how you carry yourself. It's about how you speak. It's about how you think. Every little action, every little thought, every little decision, it all adds up. When you act as if you already have what you want, you start to notice things. You start to pay attention to details you might have overlooked before. You start to see opportunities that were always there, but you were too blind to see them. But you got to be ready to act on those opportunities. You got to be ready to take risks. You got to be ready to step out of your comfort zone, because that's where growth happens. That's where success happens. And here's the secret. The more you do it, the easier it gets. The more you act as if you already have what you want, the more natural it becomes. It starts to feel less like acting and more like being. And that's when you know you're on the right track. But you got to be patient with yourself. You got to be kind to yourself. You got to understand that this is a process. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about getting a little bit better every single day. When you act as if you already have what you want, you're setting expectations for yourself. You're raising your standards. You're telling yourself and the world around you that you deserve more, that you're capable of more. But you got to be willing to live up to those expectations. You got to be willing to meet those standards. You got to be willing to prove to yourself and to the world that you're worthy of what you desire. And that's not always easy. There are going to be days when you don't feel like it. There are going to be days when you want to give up. There are going to be days when you doubt yourself. But those are the days that matter most. Those are the days that define you, because it's easy to act as if you already have what you want when things are going well. It's easy to believe in yourself when you're on top of the world. But can you do it when you're at rock bottom? Can you do it when everything seems to be falling apart? That's the real test. And here's the thing. When you can do it in those moments, when you can act as if you already have what you want, even when everything is telling you otherwise, that's when you truly become unstoppable. That's when you truly become the person you're meant to be. But you got to be willing to face your fears. You got to be willing to confront your doubts. You got to be willing to look your insecurities in the eye and say, not today. You don't control me anymore. When you act as if you already have what you want, you're not just changing your actions, you're changing your energy, you're changing the vibe you put out into the world, and people notice that, people respond to that. But you got to be authentic. You got to be genuine. You can't fake this stuff. You got to truly believe it. You got to feel it in your bones. And that takes work. That takes inner work. You got to be willing to look at yourself honestly. You got to be willing to confront your weaknesses. You got to be willing to acknowledge your flaws. Because only then can you truly start to change. Only then can you truly start to grow. And here's the beautiful thing. As you start to act as if you already have what you want, as you start to become the person you want to be, you start to inspire others. You start to lift others up. You start to show others what's possible. But you got to be ready for that responsibility. You got to be ready to lead by example. You got to be ready to show others the way. Because when you start to achieve your goals, when you start to manifest your desires, people are going to look to you for guidance. They're going to look to you for inspiration. And that's a beautiful thing. That's a powerful thing. But it's also a big responsibility. You got to be ready for it. You got to be willing to step up to the plate. When you act as if you already have what you want, you're not just changing your life, you're changing the lives of those around you. You're changing the world. And that's what it's all about. But you got to stay focused. You got to stay committed. You got to stay dedicated to your vision, because it's easy to get distracted. It's easy to lose sight of what you're working towards. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day grind and forget about the big picture. That's why you got to remind yourself every single day. You got to visualize your goals. You got to feel them. You got to taste them. You got to make them so real in your mind that your body has no choice but to follow. And here's the thing. As you start to act as if you already have what you want, as you start to become the person you want to be, you're going to face resistance. Not just from others, but from yourself. Your old self is going to try to pull you back. Your old habits are going to try to resurface. Your old fears are going to try to take control. But you got to be stronger than that. You got to be tougher than that. You got to be more determined than that. You got to be willing to fight for your new self. You got to be willing to defend your new identity. Because here's the truth. The person you're becoming is worth fighting for. The life you're creating is worth struggling for. The goals you're pursuing are worth suffering for. And when you truly believe that, when you truly internalize that, nothing can stop you. When you act as if you already have what you want, you're not just changing your future, you're changing your present. You're changing how you experience life right now. And that's powerful. Because here's the secret. Happiness, fulfillment, satisfaction. They don't come from achieving your goals. They come from pursuing your goals. They come from the person you become in the process of chasing your dreams. So don't wait to be happy. Don't wait to feel fulfilled. Don't wait to enjoy life. Start now. Act as if you already have what you want, and you realize that you already have everything you need to be happy right now. But you got to be grateful. You got to appreciate the journey. You got to find joy in the struggle, because that's where the real growth happens. That's where the real transformation takes place. And here's the beautiful thing. As you start to act as if you already have what you want, as you start to become the person you want to be, you start to realize that you're capable of so much more than you ever thought possible. You start to dream bigger. You start to aim higher. You start to push yourself further. But you got to be ready for that. You got to be willing to expand your vision. You got to be willing to challenge your own limitations. Because the person you're becoming doesn't have the same limits as the person you used to be. When you act as if you already have what you want, you're not just changing your actions. You're changing your beliefs. You're changing what you think is possible. And when you change what you believe is possible, you change what is possible. But you got to be patient with yourself. You got to understand that this is a process. It's not about overnight success. It's about consistent, persistent effort over time. It's about showing up every single day, even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. And here's the thing. As you start to act as if you already have what you want, as you start to become the person you want to be, you're going to face moments of doubt. You're going to face moments of fear. You're going to face moments when you wonder if it's all worth it. But those moments are crucial. Those moments are where champions are made. Those moments are where you prove to yourself what you're really made of. Because it's easy to believe in yourself when everything is going well. But can you believe in yourself when everything seems to be falling apart? That's the real test. And when you can do that, when you can act as if you already have what you want, even in your darkest moments, that's when you become unstoppable. That's when you become unbreakable. That's when you become the person you were always meant to be. But you got to be willing to face those moments. You got to be willing to embrace the struggle. You got to be willing to love the pain